Hi, I'm Miss Haley with the Huntsville-Madison County Public Library, and today I'm here to show you a STEM activity and make a constellation flashlight. Now, this activity is about constellations. Constellations are a really ancient branch of science. We don't use them in science so much anymore. As we've developed things, we definitely study the stars, but they were once used for navigation, and they had a lot of mythology based around them as well. And they're just fun. So for our flashlight constellation, you are going to need a pair of scissors, a white crayon, a toothpick, a flashlight. And when you pick your flashlight, you want one that has a single bulb, not one that has lots of little bulbs. I have another flashlight that I usually use for science club, but it has lots of tiny LED bulbs, and that does not really work out very well for this. You need a single bulb for this one. You'll need some Scotch tape and a piece of black construction paper. Now you're also going to need some constellations. Now if you know what constellations look like, if you know one off the top of your head, you can use that, but you might want to look up some. And I've printed off a couple to show you guys so that if you don't want to look it up yourself, you can just refer back to this part of the video. But this one is Cygnus, the swan. We have Cassiopeia, the queen. We have Libra, which is a set of scales. And of course, we have the Big Dipper, which is part of the Ursa constellation. The Big Dipper is just actually one piece of that constellation. So I'm going to be using the Big Dipper today, I think, because that's one we all really know, and we know it pretty well. But you can use any constellation you want for this. I do recommend you stick, unless you have a huge flashlight, in which case you can do bigger constellations. But my flashlight is quite small, so I recommend if your flashlight is small like mine, that you stick to a smaller constellation just with fewer stars. The Big Dipper has 7 stars, so that's, that's still a lot. But you don't want to say do Draco. Draco has a lot of stars in it, and you might need a bigger flashlight for that. And when I say big, I mean the size of the end of the flashlight, not the actual length. So to start out, whoops, I need that. To start out, we are going to put our flashlight, and you can get about, this is a square of construction paper. It's some scrap I had. I could get about 4 constellations out of this, maybe 5 if I'm being careful. But if you put it down here kind of in the corner, not all the way, it's kind of hard to tell because it's black on black, but not all the way into the corner, but part way down so that you have like a square, you should be able to get like 4 out of that. You could probably get about 6, 8 out of a solid piece of construction paper. So to start out with, you're going to put your flashlight so that the flashlight end, the light end is down. You're going to take your crayon and we're going to trace around the flashlight here. It does not have to be perfect. We're just getting an idea. That's our space that we need to make our constellation in. So that should leave you a white circle-ish, mine's not super circly, that you are going to draw your constellation into. And you want to stay in this space. You don't want to go outside, because if you go outside of this space, obviously our light is not going to shine on it, and then we're not going to see our constellation, which would be a problem, defeat the purpose. So I'm going to draw the Big Dipper on there. I'm going to break it down into pieces. So the Big Dipper has a sort of rectangle shape here. It's not really a square. So I'm going to put a rectangle. It's more of a trapezoid, I suppose. Trapezoid right there. Then it has a long handle coming up. So there's my long handle. And then it has a little handle coming out that way. So now you need your handy dandy toothpick. I am actually going to cut out, I'm not going to cut out the circle, I'm going to cut just a square so that I have less paper to have to deal with. And we are going to poke holes where the stars would be in our Big Dipper. So our stars are on the end of every line, or the corner where they meet, and then we have one star in the middle of that line. So that's where we're going to poke our holes. So to do that, we're going to hold our paper in our hand. You want to make sure that you don't have a finger on the back side. You don't want to poke yourself, and you're going to just put some pressure through and poke through like that. And you're going to do that for each spot where a star should be. You guys can see that. And you don't want to put, you want to be sort of gentle as you're putting pressure. You need to put enough pressure to punch through, but you don't want to put so much pressure that you stab it and rip it. You have that danger with this. You also, when you're making your constellation, if it requires stars that are really, really close together, you might want a bigger flashlight for that, just because you'll be able to space them out more. If you get much closer than this, you run the risk of just ripping a hole in your constellation, which would be sad, and that's not, not what we're going for. So when you're done, you should have this, well, your constellation and holes at each spot where the star is. We're going to cut the circle out now. So we're going to use our scissors and just cut along this line. It does not have to be perfect. If it overlaps the edge, that is fine. Another way you can make these, we're going to take this and we're going to tape it down on top of our flashlight. So we're going to put it so that the white drawing side is facing in. And we're doing that because, uh-oh, I think I see a problem. We're gonna do that because I think some of my stars are off my center. Something to keep in mind when you guys are making these. We're gonna do that because the direction of the light when we shine it on a wall, once the room is dark, will have this going in the proper direction, so that when we see it, we'll see the constellation the way we would see it in the night sky. Whereas if we put it so that the white side is up, you're not going to get that. So when you are lining it up, just make sure all of your little star points are going to be on the edge. My flashlight, it turns out, has a lot smaller center than the outside. So that's something to keep in mind when you're tracing yours, is to see how much of an edge yours had. I think maybe this star is probably not going to show up on mine, but that's okay. I can try again with another constellation later. So I'm going to tape this down. Another way that you can do this is you can actually take your flashlight apart and set it on the inside if you can get to that part. Mine does not have the ability to get to the front of it. I also don't like to do that on even a flashlight that does have the ability to get to this front plate, because it puts paper in very close proximity to a very hot bulb. If you leave a light bulb on long enough, it gets very hot, and paper is quite flammable. So I do not recommend doing that. I do recommend keeping it on the outside of your flashlight. So we're going to tape this guy down. When you're taping, you want to make sure, and you can see this guy's hanging over. You want to make sure that you are taping not over the little holes. So we're going to tape them all around. I think I'll have to try again with Libra next. Make sure all my holes are on the right side. But that's part of science, is experimenting. And I recommend at least about 4 pieces of tape just to make sure you have the edges down. If you have an edge that's really poking up, you can tape it down more around. It's however much you need, so that you're not getting huge gaps of light around the edge of your flashlight. But then once you've done that, you can turn it on. I don't think it's going to really show up here with the lights on, and I can't really turn off the light in the film. I'm sorry, guys. But you turn your flashlight on, you turn your lights off, and you can shine it on a wall. You might have to get close to a wall depending on the strength of your flashlight. Another thing I've encountered with these is that some flashlights have a sort of metallic coating, a mirrored finish inside, and sometimes you get some weird light diffraction because of that mirrored finish, but you will still be able to see your constellation, and it is pretty cool. And I recommend you do a bunch of these. Just make sure you have a really dark room and a clean wall to shine them on. I hope you guys have fun with these. I hope you make a lot of little constellations. Definitely recommend trying it with one of those really big flashlights as well. It's really cool. And I hope you guys come back for some more STEM activities. Thank you.